Unit 7. Word list. Basis. To do something on times basis is how often you do it.
My grandfather gets his hearing checked on a yearly basis.
Biology. Biology is the study of living things.
We learned about the human heart in biology class.
Cage. A cage is something that holds an animal so it cannot leave.
We put the parrots in their cage at night.
Colleague. A colleague is somebody you work with.
My colleague helped me finish the job.
Colony. A colony is a country controlled by another country.
The USA was at one time a colony of Great Britain.
Debate. To debate is to seriously discuss something with someone.
The husband and wife debated over which TV to buy.
Depart. To depart is to leave some place so you can go to another place.
The plane departed for Italy at 3 o'clock this afternoon.
Depress. To depress someone is to make them sad.
The bad news from work depressed the man.
Factual. When something is factual, it is true.
John learns about history from factual books.
Fascinate. To fascinate someone is to make them really like something.
The kitten was fascinated by the ball of yarn.
Mission. A mission is an important job that is sometimes far away.
The woman's mission was to help sick people.
Nevertheless. You use nevertheless to show that something goes against a fact.
He is usually friendly. Nevertheless, he wasn't this afternoon.
Occupation. An occupation is a person's job.
My father's occupation is a dentist.
Overseas. If you go overseas, you go to a country on the other side of an ocean.
John often goes overseas for vacations.
Persuade. To persuade someone is to make them agree to do something.
The children persuaded their parents to buy them gifts.
Route. A route is the way you go from one place to another.
I saw many new houses along the route to the city.
Ruins. Ruins are old buildings that are not used anymore.
I visited some interesting ruins in Greece.
Scholar. A scholar is a person who studies something and knows much about it.
The scholar knew much about art history.
Significant. When someone or something is significant, they are important.
I read many significant novels as a literature major in university.
Volcano. A volcano is a mountain with a hole on top where hot liquid comes out.
When the volcano erupted, smoke and heat filled the air. A beautiful bird. Dr. Norton's occupation was a scholar of biology. He learned about all animals on a daily basis. One day he met a sailor from a colony overseas. The man told Dr. Norton about a talking bird. The bird fascinated Dr. Norton, so he told his colleagues about it. They debated with him. No one thought a bird could talk. He tried to persuade them, but they laughed at him. Nevertheless, Dr. Norton believed the bird was real. His new mission was to find it. He wanted factual proof. The next day he departed for the colony. The sailor he had met told him to look for a man named Jai, who would be able to help him in his search. After a month of sailing, Dr. Norton finally reached the colony where he met Jai. I can take you to where it lives. It lives by the volcano, Jai said. They left the next day. A week later, they arrived at the volcano. Every day they walked around and looked for the bird, but they couldn't find it. After 1 month, Dr. Norton could not find the bird, and this depressed him. He decided to go home. On the route back, he walked past some old ruins. He heard someone say, "Hello." "Who are you?" he asked. Dr. Norton looked up and saw a bird. Dr. Norton put the talking bird into a cage. Then he returned home. He had made a significant discovery.
Unit 8. Word list. Broad. If something is broad, it is wide.
The river is very long and broad.
Bush. A bush is a plant with many thin branches. It is smaller than a tree.
My dad and I planted some small bushes around the house.
Capable. If someone or something is capable of something, they can do it.
The Olympic athlete is capable of lifting a lot of weight.
Cheat. To cheat is to be dishonest, so that you can win or do well.
They cheated on the test by sharing answers.
Concentrate. To concentrate on someone or something is to give your full attention.
I could not concentrate on my homework because the room was so loud.
Conclude. To conclude is to arrive at a logical end by looking at evidence.
I saw crumbs on my dog's face, so I concluded that he ate my cookie.
Confident. Confident means that one believes they can do something without failing.
She was confident she could climb the mountain due to her training.
Considerable. If something is considerable, it is large in size, amount, or extent.
They paid a considerable amount of money for that car.
Convey. To convey is to communicate or make ideas known.
That picture of a crying child conveys a feeling of sadness.
Definite. If something is definite, it is certain or sure to be true.
There is a definite connection between hard work and success.
Delight. Delight is a feeling of being very happy with something.
He felt such delight after getting a promotion at work.
Destination. A destination is the place where someone or something is going to.
The destination of this plane is Munich, Germany.
Dictate. To dictate something is to read it aloud so it can be written down.
He dictated his speech so his secretary could write it down.
Edge. The edge of something is the part of it that is farthest from the center.
He ran to the edge of the cliff.
Path. A path is a way from one place to another that people can walk along.
We followed a path through the woods.
Resort. To resort to something is to depend on it in order to solve a problem.
I hope they don't resort to violence to end the argument.
Shadow. A shadow is the dark area that is made when something blocks light.
The man's shadow was taller than he was.
Succeed. To succeed is to complete something that you planned or tried to do.
He will continue to work on the robot until he succeeds.
Suspect. To suspect something is to believe that it is true.
I suspect that those kids stole the money.
Valley. A valley is a low area of land between two mountains or hills.
We looked at the valley below from the top of the mountain.
Tricky turtle. Ricky the rabbit and Tara the turtle met by the edge of the river. "No one is capable of beating me in a race," Ricky said. He was confident. His smile conveyed that. "I can beat you," Tara said. Ricky laughed with delight. Tara said, "We will race tomorrow. The destination is the hill." Ricky agreed. Tara concentrated on winning the race. She was not faster than Ricky. She needed a definite way to succeed. She told her family about the race. "I have concluded that I have to resort to something bad. I will cheat." She dictated her instructions to them. At the race, they all wore white feathers. They looked exactly the same. Then her family members hid in shadows on the path. The race began. Tara was soon far behind. However, Tara's brother hid behind a bush in the valley below. When Ricky got close, Tara's brother began to run. He looked just like Tara. Ricky ran as fast as he could along the path. But to him, it seemed like Tara was always ahead. Ricky had used a considerable amount of energy. He reached the top, but Tara's sister was already there. "Well, you win," Ricky said. Later, Tara had a broad smile on her face. Ricky never suspected. He had been tricked by a family of slow turtles. Unit 9. Word list. Admire. To admire someone is to like them for what they do.
I admire my brother for his hard work.
Aid. To aid someone is to help them when they need something.
The doctor aided the boy after his accident.
Attempt. To attempt something is to try to do that thing.
I am attempting to learn English.
Authority. Authority is the power that someone has because of their position.
The policeman has authority on the streets.
Capital. A capital is an important city where a country's leaders live and work.
We will visit the capital to learn about our government.
Cooperate. To cooperate is to work together to do something.
The students cooperated to clean up the classroom.
Defend. To defend someone or something is to protect them from attack.
The soldiers defended the town from the invaders.
Destruction. Destruction is damage to something so bad that it can't be fixed.
After the big fire, there was much destruction in the city.
Disorder. Disorder is a lack of order, or a complete mess.
The teacher's desk had many papers in disorder.
Division. A division is the act of making smaller groups out of a larger one.
The chart had 6 divisions which all had different colors.
Enable. To enable a person is to make it possible for them to do something.
Having the key enabled us to open the door.
Frustrate. To frustrate is to prevent someone from fulfilling their desire.
The machine frustrated me because I could not fix it.
Govern. To govern is to control the public business of a country, state, or city.
The United States is governed from the White House.
Plenty. To have plenty of something is to have more than you need.
The school had plenty of books for the students to read.
Relieve. To relieve someone is to make them feel less pain.
The medicine relieved the sick boy.
Reputation. Reputation is the opinion that people have about someone.
The doctor had a reputation for helping people.
Royal. Royal describes something that belongs to a king or queen.
The king sat upon the royal throne.
Slave. A slave is a person who is not free and must work for someone else.
The slave worked very hard all day long.
Struggle. To struggle is to fight against someone or something.
The kids struggled with each other for the toy.
Stupid. When someone is stupid, they lack intelligence.
He said something stupid that made everyone angry at him. The Tale of Bartleby O'Boyle. Long ago, there was a clever man by the name of Bartleby O'Boyle. As a boy, he was kept as a slave by the royal family. He saw other children play, but he always had to work. This frustrated him very much. But he was not stupid, and he wanted to change things. Then one day there was a struggle for authority in the kingdom. There was a division of the people, and one group fought against another group to see which would govern the kingdom. There was disorder in the kingdom. Bartleby ran away. He saw much fighting and destruction. Many people had nothing to eat. Bartleby decided to aid them. He would help them get food. But how? Bartleby went to the capital to find an answer. There, he met a man named Gilliam. A group of men attempted to hurt Gilliam. Bartleby defended him. Then he gave Gilliam some food to relieve his hunger. After that, the two became friends. They took food from the rich and gave it to the poor. Soon, other people cooperated with them. Working together enabled them to take more food. But they only took food from people who had plenty, and they always gave it to those who had none. Because of this, Bartleby gained a reputation across the kingdom. Even today, many people admire him for helping the poor.
Unit 10. Word list. Citizen. A citizen is someone who lives in a certain town or city.
Carlos was born in Spain. He is a Spanish citizen.
Council. A council is a group of people who run a city or town.
The council met to discuss the new laws for the city.
Declare. To declare is to say something officially.
I declared my love for him.
Enormous. When people or things are enormous, they are very large.
My dog looks enormous next to yours.
Extraordinary. When someone or something are extraordinary, they are amazing.
The fireman who rescued the girl was extraordinary.
Fog. Fog is a thick cloud that is near the ground or water.
I did not want to drive in the thick fog.
Funeral. A funeral is a ceremony that takes place after a person dies.
They had a funeral for the soldier who died during the war.
Giant. When people or things are giant, they are very big.
The giant truck got in my way.
Impression. An impression is the way of thinking about someone or something.
Most people's first impression of Dr. Gianni is that he is mean.
Income. Income is how much money a person or business makes.
Her company pays her a fairly good income.
Mad. When someone is mad, they are angry.
Mother got mad when I didn't listen to her.
Ought. If someone ought to do something, then it is the right thing to do.
I ought to take my library books back.
Resist. To resist something is to fight against it.
He resisted the treatment at the hospital.
Reveal. To reveal is to show something.
I will reveal where I hid the candy bar.
Rid. To rid is to make a place free from something or someone.
We rid our home of mice by using traps.
Sword. A sword is a long, sharp weapon.
They used to use swords in battles in ancient times.
Tale. A tale is a story.
She told her two friends about the wild tale of her day.
Trap. To trap people or animals is to capture them so they cannot get away.
We trapped butterflies in a net.
Trial. A trial is the way a court discovers if a person is guilty or innocent.
He went on trial for robbing the bank.
Violent. When people are violent, they want to hurt someone.
The man was put into jail because he was violent.
Blackbeard. A long time ago, I had my first job. It didn't give me much of an income. It was on a giant pirate ship. On my first night, there was a thick fog over the water. A lamp on the ship revealed an enormous man. He had a sword in his belt. His name was Blackbeard, and he was one of the most violent pirates ever. One day, Blackbeard did an extraordinary thing. He attacked several ships near a town. He took some of the town's citizens. Then he declared, "You give me medicine." Blackbeard wanted the medicine for some of the sick pirates on his ship. The people had a bad impression of him. They were mad, and they resisted. But they were trapped. They wanted to get rid of him. So the town's council decided to give him the medicine. After this, there was a reward for catching Blackbeard. If Blackbeard was caught, he would have a trial. He didn't want to go to jail, so he quit being a pirate. Blackbeard became a fisherman, but he ought to have stayed on land. The Royal Navy was still looking for him. They attacked him while he was fishing on his boat. Blackbeard fought against many men. Finally, he was killed. He didn't even get a funeral. But people still tell tales about him many years later. Unit 11. Word list. Admission. Admission is the act of allowing to enter a place.
The admission ticket to the movie was $5.
Astronomy. Astronomy is the study of the stars and planets.
Harold loved watching the stars, so he decided to study astronomy.
Blame. To blame someone for something bad is to say they did it.
My mom blamed me for something I didn't do.
Chemistry. Chemistry is the study of and reaction to substances.
In chemistry class, the professor taught us about chemical reactions.
Despite. If something happens despite what you do, it happens anyway.
We still played the game despite the cold weather.
Dinosaur. A dinosaur is a very big animal that lived millions of years ago.
I like to see the dinosaur bones at the museum.
Exhibit. An exhibit is a display of interesting things.
There was an animal exhibit at the fair.
Fame. Fame is reputation one has gained among the public.
He had fame and fortune, but he was not happy.
Forecast. A forecast is an idea about what the weather will be like in the future.
The forecast says that it will rain all week.
Genius. A genius is a very smart person.
Since she was a genius, she easily passed all of her school exams.
Gentle. Someone who is gentle is kind and calm.
He is very gentle with the baby.
Geography. Geography is the study of where things are.
I had to draw a map for geography class.
Interfere. To interfere is to cause problems and keep something from happening.
My little sister always interferes when I'm trying to study.
Lightly. To do something lightly is to not push very hard.
Draw lightly so you do not tear your paper.
Principal. A principal is a person in charge of a school.
My school's principal can be very strict with the rules.
Row. A row is a line of things.
James put all of his toy soldiers into neat rows.
Shelf. A shelf is a place on a wall where you put things.
I keep my clothes on a shelf in my closet.
Spite. If you do something out of spite, you want to be mean.
He snuck into his sister's room and stole her bag out of spite.
Super. Super means really good.
My dad said I did a super job cleaning the house.
Wet. If something is wet, it has water on it.
Since my dog was wet, he tried to shake all the water off his body. Dinosaur drawings. It was the worst morning ever. When Carl woke up, he realized that he didn't do his astronomy and chemistry homework. Also, the forecast called for rain, and that would affect baseball practice. Suddenly his mother yelled, "Take out the garbage right now!" When Carl returned from taking the garbage outside, he was all wet. "What a terrible day," he said. He walked to class. He put his umbrella on the shelf and sat in the third row. But the teacher asked why Carl's umbrella was on the floor. He told her not to blame him, but she sent him to the principal out of spite. Next, he took a geography test. Despite studying, Carl didn't know the answers. He started drawing lightly on his paper. Carl drew a huge dinosaur. What if it were real? He saw it in his mind. Carl's class said he was a genius for having a dinosaur. It could interfere with math class too. Soon, Carl's fame spread through school. He taught his dinosaur to be very gentle and put it on exhibit. But admission would only be given to those classmates who paid him a fee. His idea was super. "It's time to turn in your tests," the teacher said. Carl looked at his paper. As he was dreaming in class, he hadn't finished the test.
Unit 12. Word list. Abuse. To abuse someone or something means to hurt them on purpose.
The mean man abused his dog when it barked too loudly.
Afford. To afford something means you have enough money to pay for it.
I've been saving my money so I can afford to buy a new bike.
Bake. To bake means to cook food with heat.
My sister is a good cook. She bakes delicious cakes.
Bean. A bean is a plant seed that is good to eat.
There are many different kinds of beans to eat.
Candle. A candle is a stick of wax that is lit on fire for light or heat.
When the lights went out, we lit some candles.
Convert. To convert something means to change it into something else.
The man converted his messy field into a garden of flowers.
Debt. A debt is an amount of money that a person owes.
I have not paid my gas bill. I owe a debt to the gas company.
Decrease. To decrease something is to make it less than it was before.
Hiring more police officers has decreased crime in the city.
Fault. A fault is a mistake.
It is my fault that the cat ran away. I left the door open.
Fund. A fund is an amount of money that people have.
We all put money into our club's fund.
Generous. When someone is generous, they like to give things to people.
The generous man donated several new computers to our school.
Ingredient. An ingredient is something that is part of a food dish.
The main ingredients in cake are eggs, sugar, and flour.
Insist. To insist means to be firm in telling people what to do.
I insist that you try some of these cookies.
Mess. A mess is a condition that is not clean or neat.
Heather's room was a complete mess.
Metal. Metal is a strong material people use to build things.
Steel is a common metal that is used to build buildings.
Monitor. To monitor people or things is to watch them closely.
The teacher monitors the students when they take tests.
Oppose. To oppose something means to dislike it or act against it.
I want to be a police officer because I oppose crime.
Passive. If a person is passive, they do not take action to solve problems.
Marcy is so passive that she never solves her own problems.
Quantity. A quantity is a certain amount of something.
I have a small quantity of milk in my glass.
Sue. To sue someone is to take them to court for something wrong they did.
I sued the company after I slipped on a banana peel in their hallway.
The mean chef. Once, there was a chef who was mean to his cooks. He was mean to the people who came in to eat. He charged too much for meals. Many people were not able to afford the cheapest bean dish. When his metal oven broke, he did not have it fixed. So everything baked in it burned. The only light was from candles, and the whole place was a mess. Sometimes, he didn't pay his waiters. Since they had no funds, they had many debts. The chef behaved this way all the time. He monitored the cooks and yelled if they did not do things his way. One day, the cooks decided that they were tired of the abuse, and that they would not be passive anymore. Everyone opposed the chef. At first, they thought about suing him. Instead, they tied up the chef with rope. Now they controlled the restaurant. They decreased the price of food. They used the best ingredients and made large quantities of food. They turned on the lights. The restaurant was converted into a happy place. For the first time, many people came to eat. The chef realized that the restaurant's problems were his fault. The chef learned an important lesson. The new generous chef insisted on giving the customers a free meal. Unit 13. Word list. Anxiety. When someone has anxiety, they have a lot of worries and fear.
When I have to climb to high places, I'm filled with anxiety.
Army. An army is a large group of people who fight in wars.
The army protects all the people in the country.
Billion. A billion is a very large number.
There are billions of stars in outer space.
Carve. To carve means to cut into something.
My father usually carves the turkey for Thanksgiving.
Consult. To consult someone means to ask them for help.
I will consult my accountant to find a way to pay for my bills.
Emergency. An emergency is a time when someone needs help right away.
There is a huge fire in my house. This is an emergency.
Fortune. When someone has good fortune, it means they have luck.
I have good fortune when I play cards.
Guarantee. To guarantee means to know something will happen.
I guarantee that the sun will come up in the morning.
Hike. To hike means to walk in the mountains or forest.
I always bring plenty of equipment with me when I hike.
Initial. When something is initial, it is the first thing.
The initial step when writing a paper is to find a good topic.
Intense. If something is intense, it is very strong.
The skunk made an intense odor that filled the air.
Lend. To lend something is to give it to someone for a short time.
My sister lost her pen, so I will lend her mine.
Peak. The peak is the very top of a mountain.
There is snow on the peaks of those mountains.
Potential. Potential means capable of being but not yet in existence.
I've thought of some potential problems with your idea.
Pride. When you have pride, you are happy with yourself.
I take pride in getting good grades.
Proof. Proof is a fact that shows something is real.
They used his fingerprint as proof for the crime he committed.
Quit. To quit something means to stop doing it.
I quit running because I got tired.
Spin. To spin is to turn around in circles.
The boy kept spinning until he fell down.
Tiny. When people or things are tiny, they are very small.
A baby's hand is tiny.
Tutor. A tutor is someone who gives lessons in a certain subject.
My sister is bad at math, so my mother hired a tutor to help her. The Cat and the Fox. One day, a cat hiked on a mountain. When he reached the peak, he met a fox. They began talking about how they get away from their enemies. I am very smart. I have billions of ideas. I can carve a tiny hole in a tree and then climb in, the fox said. He added, I have a lot of friends. If I am in trouble, I can call them to lend their help. I can escape an entire army if I have to. Then the fox asked, What are your potential plans? The cat said, I have only one plan. The fox said, I hope you have good fortune then. Do you want me to be your tutor? I can teach you many things. The cat said, I guarantee that my plan works every time. We can quit talking about it. Soon, they saw a group of wolves. It was an emergency. The cat quickly used her plan. She ran up a tree. The fox could not decide which plan to use. What should my initial move be? Should I consult my friends? The fox felt intense anxiety. All he could do was spin in a circle. The wolves caught the fox. The cat was full of pride. This is proof that having a good plan is better than having many bad plans.